chapter is what is language. So here, the main goal of this chapter is to define language. And language is difficult to define. Some people say that, okay, it's not difficult. We can say that language is a means of communication. Yes, that's right. Language is a means of communication, but also animals have Shams. But also animals have means of communication. Animals also communicate with each other, not just human beings. So just saying language is a means of communication is not enough. We need a more technical definition of the term language. So in order to define language, in order to know what language is, we need to distinguish between language and animal communication, and between language and other systems of communication like animal communication. And in order to differentiate between the two, language and animal communication, the American linguist and anthropologist Charles Hockett designed in the 60s a set of features. He called them the design features of human language, to characterize human language and set it apart from animal communication. Okay. What are these features? There are many features, but the main ones are going to be discussed in this chapter. The use of sound signals, arbitrariness, the need for learning, duality, displacement, creativity or productivity, patterning, and structure dependence. Again, use of sound signals, arbitrariness, the need for learning, duality, displacement, creativity or productivity, patterning, and structure dependence. Okay, let's talk about the first one, which is the use of sound signals. أنا البارحة نزلت لكم تمرين ما أعرف شفتوه ولا لا، حلو وبسيط، هو مو فد شيء صعب. أكو استفسارات بخصوص التمرين مال البارحة؟ أو أحد ما يعرف شنو المقصود من عنده أو كذا؟
والله أستاذ مو بسيط.
ليش مو بسيط؟ سهل والله سهل.
واضح شوية صعوبة.
خلينا نكمل هذا الفصل ونحكي بتمرين البارحة. اوكي خلينا نكمل هسه هذا الفصل وشوف. بالعكس كلش بسيط، انه انا اعطيتكم جمل، اوكي، اعطيتكم ارقام. يعني مثلا هسه رقم 1 use of sound signals، يا جمله من الجمل ترهم على هاي، انتم هيك تحددون تشوفون. يعني اذا اي طبعا لا شيء اكيد شلون. اي بالضبط.
استاذنا جايين ماخذين هذا النمط يعني العام
دائما حتى يقويكم انتم تفهمون شنو المقصود بهاي الديزاين فيتشرز. نعم نور.
استاذ هذا النمط مال الاسئله يعني ماخذينه العام، يعني مو فشي غريب.
اي لا
اجانا يعني هذا النمط في الاسئله مال العام.
اي هو مو نمط، القصد على الاسئله نفسها، الجمل نفسها اللي جايبها.
لا استاذ واضحات مفهومات.
تمام، احنا هسه خلينا نحكي ديزاين فيتشرز ونشوف اذا مثلا عندكم شيء ما مفهوم. انا ما راح احل لكم التمرين، بس راح تعرفون انتم هسه من خلال الشرح راح تسهل عليكم هو ان شاء الله. اوكي let's talk about the first one, the use of sound signals. بالمناسبه اكو بعض الطلاب، يعني انا شفت الاجوبه وطلعت على بعضها، على هواي من عندها طلعت. اكو طلاب يعني غلطانين، اخطاء بسيطه يعني، اوكي، وطلاب مستوياتهم زينه يعني، وغلطانين اخطاء يعني اخطاء بسيطه، فاهمين الشغله خطا. لمجرد انه انت مثلا تشوف كلمه مثلا animals are human beings use source of visual signs، يعني مثلا هاي اذا شفتها العباره مو بالضروره انه هاي هي منتميه الى هاي الصفه. ممكن انطيك عباره بس المعنى مالتها اغيرها، اعطيك عباره من ديزاين فيشر واحده بس المعنى مالتها متغير، اقصد به شيء اخر. فانت لا تعتمدون على الشكل، اعتمدوا على الفهم، مو شكل الجمله وين موجود مثلا، اعتمدوا على الفهم اكثر. Animals use sounds. Human beings also use sounds. So this is a feature that is shared by both humans and animals. Animals communicate using sounds, but also human beings communicate using sounds. Sometimes humans do not communicate using sounds. They use body language and facial expressions. Also, animals, they use some kind of visual cues sometimes, movements and waving and dancing like bees. Bees dance. Some animals wave. Some animals move to communicate with each other. And many animals produce sounds. They communicate by using sounds. We people also use sounds, even if we don't use them similarly, but we also use sounds. We use our organs of speech to contact with each other to make speech sounds. So this feature is shared between humans and animals. And there are so many benefits or advantages for using sound signals. One of them is what? they can be used in the dark. I don't need to see you to understand you. I can still, I can hear you saying whatever you're saying, and I don't need to see the message. I don't need to see the signal. I don't need to see your words and sentences. So that's one benefit of using sounds in the dark. They can also be used at some distance. Now, with the invention of the media, or with the presence or the existence of the media, we can talk to people thousands of kilometers away, thousands of miles away. And you can also talk to someone who's not close to you in the same room, but who's not close to you, and this person can still will be able to hear, because you can shout or you can raise your voice, and that's the benefit of using sound signals, which is something different from writing. Now, with the existence of media, even writing can reach to people thousands of miles away from us. Also, using sound signals allow a wide variety of messages to be sent. Remember, in duality, we combine phonemes together to make sentences and words. How many sentences can you make by using the sounds? We have 44 sounds in English, but how many sentences can we make or construct using only these 44 sounds? Millions of sentences. So how many messages can you send to others? Millions of messages. That's also a benefit of using sound signals. And you can also talk and do something else at the same time. Talking doesn't require to occupy or to use all of your body. You can talk and cook. You can talk and clean. You can talk and wash the dishes at the same time. So talking using sound signals leaves your body free for other physical activities. These are the 4 advantages of using sound signals. اكو سؤال بخصوص الساوند سيجنالز هسه؟ طبعا انا هسه حليت اعتقد كم سؤال هسه من التمرين. انتم بعد تنتبهون من الشرح وتعرفون شلون تحلون. اي انتم بعد شوفوا، هي اعتقد واضحه ترى، مو شيء صعب والله، بس اذا تفهمونها بطريقه صحيحه. Okay. Let's talk about arbitrariness, the second feature. If I ask you what is arbitrariness in the exam, or if anyone asks you what is arbitrariness، إذا واحد يعني بالمستقبل يقول لك شنو نقصد بالarbitrariness، أنت همين تقعد لازم تجيب الملف مال PDF وتفتحه قدامه، أنت طالع برا وصار نقاش يقولوا لك شنو arbitrariness، تقول له there is a strong link connection between the actual signal and the message an animal tries to convey. A cat, for example, will arc its back, spit, and appear. يعني that's impossible. By arbitrariness, we mean there is no link, no connection between the signal and the message. That's all. In human language, when we talk, if I say the word elephant, there is no relationship between elephant as a word, as sounds, as letters, as you see it, the word, and this big animal. Why do we call this animal, this huge animal, elephant? No, why? There is no link. They just call it elephant. We can call it a mouse or a cat or an ant or a butterfly, but they just called it elephant. Language is arbitrary. It's not governed by rules. But we have exceptions in human language. The exceptions are what? The exceptions to the feature of arbitrariness are onomatopoeic words. Onomatopoeic words like bubble, ping pong, bang, quack quack, bomb. These words, the sounds, the word itself suggests the meaning. So there is a relationship between the signal and the message in onomatopoeic words. In onomatopoeic words, there's a relationship between the signal and the message. And onomatopoeic words are exceptions to arbitrariness. But in animal communication, there is always a link or a connection between the message and the signal. Always. When the cat puffs its tail, it means that the cat is frightened. It's not arbitrary. When the cat, for example, arc its back, spit and appear, and it means that the cat will spit and appear and will be ready to pounce, to jump. So in animals, everything the animal makes or produces is linked to the feature or to the message that animal tries to convey. But we human beings know. Why do I call a pencil a pencil? There is no why, no link. That's it. It's a pencil. If they called it a ruler, then it's a ruler. يسمي القلم هو مسطرة والمسطرة يسويها قلم. And that's it. That's arbitrariness. So if I ask you, why is a human arbitrary? A human language arbitrary? Human language is arbitrary because there is no link between the signal and the message. أكو سؤال بخصوص الاربيترينس لو واضحة؟
واضح صح.
اوكي الشاشة شوفوها صغيرة لو كبيرة؟ لأنه أنا مصغرها يمي.
لا أستاذ كبيرة.
أستاذ يا
The need for learning. The need for learning. If I ask you, do we teach a cat how to say a meow? You say no. If I ask why, you just say that cats know how to communicate automatically without learning, because their system of communication is genetically inbuilt. They know how to communicate by instinct. We don't need to teach a cat how to say a meow, or a dog how to bark, or any animal how to produce sounds. They will know, they will be able to produce these sounds by instinct. But in human beings, the situation is different. We need someone to teach us. Language is culturally transmitted. And by culturally transmitted, we mean it's moved from, or it's passed from one generation to another, from a generation to a generation. Language will pass or move from our grandparents to parents to us, and then to our sons and daughters, and so on. We need someone to teach us the language. We need to acquire the language from yes, sometimes we can acquire things by ourselves, but we need people to talk in front of us, around us. We need to acquire the language from the society, from the surroundings, from the culture. How to prove it? Well, if you take a human being and you try to bring up this person or baby in isolation from the rest of the world, this person will not be able to speak. If you put an animal with this baby, then the baby will grow up knowing how to produce the sounds of the animal itself. Another proof is that when a baby is born deaf, will not be able to speak, because this baby will not hear the sounds and the words of the language he speaks, he should speak. That's also a difference. This feature is distinct to human language. It's not found in animal communication, just like arbitrariness. واضحة the need for learning. أكمل duality.
نعم صح.
Yes.
Okay, duality. When I say duality, by do we mean two things. So I have two steps here. What does it mean, duality? We mean that we have sounds in one, we have two steps. In one step, what do we have? What are the smallest units of language? The sounds. So we have the sounds. And then we take the sounds, we put them together, we combine sounds with other sounds, and we make what? We make words and sentences. What are the sentences? The sentences are just sounds put together. The words are also sounds put together. So we have sounds in one step, and then we have words and sentences in another step. So what is duality? Duality means, or another name of it is double articulation. Dual بس دقيقة هذا خلاص نخليه يروح لحظة. Okay, so duality, which is also called double articulation, means what? It means we take the sounds or the phonemes which is one layer, and we make larger units. By larger units, what do we mean? We mean words and sentences. يعني, or we can say the opposite. We make words and sentences from smaller units. يعني بنستخدم الأصوات نكون وحدات أكبر اللي هي الكلمات والجمل. أقدر أنا شنو أقول لكم؟ أقدر أقول لكم ناخذ الكلمات والجمل ونكون وحدات أصغر. هي هاي الدواليتي. فأكو بعضكم شافني أنا حاكي هاي الشيء وراح وين؟ راح على الستراكشر ديبندنس لأنه مذكورة بها فونيمز وبها sentences words. فراح على الستراكشر ديبندنس اللي هي تعني شيء آخر. مو لأنه مذكور بها فونيمز words sentences يعني أنت تختار structure dependence. لا، افهم المعنى. Duality is what? Duality is you take sounds, you put them with other sounds, you make larger units like words and sentences, or the opposite. You make larger units, you make words and sentences from smaller units, which are the sounds. تاخذ وحدات أصغر تكون وحدات أكبر، أو الوحدات الأكبر نكونها من وحدات أصغر. تقولها هيك هي duality. But animals, how many sounds do the animals have? 10? Then they only say 10 messages. 20? So 20 messages. How many meow the cat can produce? كم مياو تقدر تقولها مثلا بالزونة؟ خلينا نفرض مثلا 10. كل وحدة لها معنى. وحدة بالجوع، وحدة بالخوف، وحدة بالكذا. اوكي، وحدة مثلا من تريد تلعب او تتودد الى شخص معين او الى قط اخر. يعني every sound has a message, and the number of messages the animal can communicate depends on the number of the basic sounds. We have 44 sounds in English. Do we produce only 44 messages? No. We can communicate millions of messages using only these 44 sounds by the process of duality, which is taking the sounds in one layer, then putting them together to make larger units, words and sentences. واضحة؟
إيه أستاذ واضح.
نعم سلام.
أكو شيء صعب ما مفهوم؟
لا أستاذ واضح.
أوكي، هسه نحكي عن الجزء الثاني من الفصل. displacement. هاي هواية سألت عنها بالامتحان. displacement. خلي نعرف الكلمة ككلمة تعريف قاموسي إلى معنى الكلمة. If I say something is placed on, it means that something is found on. If I say something is displaced on, is displaced from, it means something is not there, is not found. So we have placed and displaced. To place something is to have something, to put something. To displace something is to take something off or out. So when I talk about displacement, then I'm talking about something that is not present. I'm talking about something that is absent. And human language has this feature, has the ability to talk about something displaced. That is displaced. Human language has the ability to talk about something that is absent. If I say the sentence, I was afraid, what does it mean? It means that I was afraid. Does it mean that I'm still afraid? No. Maybe yes, but maybe no. I was just expressing how I felt yesterday. شفت فيلم يخوف وخفت البارحة. قلت لكم البارحة خفت. هل هذا معناه أنه أنا خايف الآن؟ لا. But I could express my feelings today. Today, I could express my feelings yesterday. I could express how I felt yesterday. Because human language has this feature of displacement. Can a bird express how it feels or how it felt yesterday? Like that? No. Animals communicate only about the immediate environment, only about things that are present around them, in front of them, things that they can see and feel at the moment. They cannot talk or communicate ideas about the past. They only talk about the present. But we can talk about the present and the past. We can talk about things that are present and things that are absent at the same time. ده باب الامتحان. بس من أسألك عليها افهم شلون تجاوبني عليها. All you need to know is that, okay, displacement means about our feelings, for example. أقدر أحكي لك قصة مو feelings، يعني شنو صار وياي أصلا قبل 10 سنوات. يعني life story كده أحكي لك إياها. But animals, no. Animals, they don't talk about past experiences. Yes, they have a memory. They have some kind of a memory. But this memory is related to their instincts. الذاكرة مرتبطة بغريزتهم أكثر مما هي مرتبطة بالذاكرة اللي تتعلق بالمشاعر والإيفنتس. مو شغلنا هذا، شغلنا الهيومن language. We human beings are able to talk about things in the present and things in the past, which is a feature that is not available in animal communication. So if I say I was afraid, doesn't mean that I'm still afraid. I just was afraid. That's it. That's the feature of displacement. Okay. سؤال قبل لا نكمل؟ لو نكمل. كمل. تمام. Creativity or productivity. creativity من أقول أنا جوعان راح أروح للمريخ أشتري لفة وأجي، أو الزحل أو أي كوكب. Okay, the sentence is grammatical. It has, you know, its parts, subjects, verbs, and object, and complements, and everything. It's acceptable, grammatically acceptable, and it's also meaningful. ذهب الولد إلى المريخ ليشتري ساندويتش. Okay. لفة فلافل. Okay, بها معنى الجملة. But is it logically acceptable to you? Is it reasonable? No. It's not reasonable because it's impossible. But okay, it's impossible, but can I still say such impossible sentences? Yes, I can say whatever impossible sentences I want. I have the ability to produce sentences I have never produced before. Possible and impossible. جمل قايلها ما قايلها أنا كلها أقدر أقولها. And not just this, but I can also understand sentences I have never heard before. مو فقط أنطق جمل ما قايلة، وأنا حتى أفهم جمل أنا ما سامعها. هروح للمريخ أشتري لفة، سامعيها أنتوا قبل؟ ما سامعيها. But you understood the sentence. My head is full of hammers. تفهمها. راسي مثل شواكيش. شنو معناها؟ حتى اللي ما سامعها قبل من يسمع my head is full of hammers ممكن يفهمها. أو مثلا من أقول لك أنا Chomsky's very famous sentence colorless green ideas sleep furiously. Colorless green ideas. Colorless and green and ideas. Ideas do not have colors. And if they have colors, then how do you say colorless and green at the same time? شلون بلا لون وأخضر بنفس الوقت. وsleep furiously. حط لك صفة، حط لك أي كلمة ما لها علاقة. أوكي. حط وياها أي object ما له علاقة تصير جملة كتركيب صحيحة، عندك فعل وفاعل ومفعول به كذا، ولكن جملة nonsense. But it is still possible to produce such sentences, still possible to create such sentences. But animals, no. Animals have a very limited number of messages they can send or receive. Animals only talk about the things that they are able to talk about, depending on how many sounds they have. They cannot be such creative or productive like human beings. That's the feature of creativity. بقى الاثنين patterning والstructure dependence. شلون الفرق بيناتهم؟ هاي خلينا نعتبرها مثل الشطرنج. اوكي؟ يعني شنو مثل الشطرنج؟ You know, the chess pieces or the chessmen inside the chessboard are related to each other. These pieces are related to each other in horizontally and vertically. And how they are aligned to each other. الكتاب معطيكم مثال على بعض الحروف مثلا. هاي الحروف اللي هي س والت والاي والبي. اوكي؟ احنا نقدر نقول ستاب اكو هيك كلمه، نقدر نقول اب اكو هيك كلمه، ونقدر نقول باتس اكو هيك كلمه. that's it. بس ماكو هيك كلمه تبدي ت ان ب. اوكي؟ ماكو هيك كلمه تبدي بس ان ب، ما موجوده. What does it mean? This means that stab or tabs or bats, these sounds are aligned together in a pattern. The words themselves and within a sentence. For example, if I have the sentence that cat hissed noisily, I can put cute here, and that the determiner is related to cute, and cute is related to cat, and then cat is related to hissed, and hissed is related to noisily. Noisily is an adverb that modifies the verb. Cute is an adjective that modifies the cat. They are arranged in a pattern, in a system, in a network. And they are interlinked and interwoven together. يعني محاكاة الكلمات مع بعضها، شيء مرتبط بشيء. In a network, in a pattern. أما structure dependence، لاحظوا هنا شو مكتوب phonemes combine to form words and words combine to form sentences. هاي أخذناها سابقا، هاي duality. مو تشوف هاي تقول structure dependence، لا هاي duality. بعدنا ما وصلنا structure dependence. Structure dependence وين؟ هذا. Perception of the meaning of these larger units depends on the perception of the underlying structure rather than the number of elements involved. يعني هاي الجملة اللي هي that cat hissed noisily ما احتاج أنا أعرف كم كلمة بها 1 2 3 4. No, I only need to analyze the structure to know the meaning. حتى أفهم معناها. خلي الجملة بها كلمة ما يهمني. أنا أفهم تركيبها يلا أفهم معناها. مو عدد الكلمات. That's structure dependence. We structure what? Structure dependence. It means that we depend on what? Structure. Dependence. Dependence on what? Structure. Not on number of elements. أما هذا اللي مذكور هنا هو duality. أصوات تتركب مع بعض تكون جمل وكلمات. أخذناها هاي duality. That's all. So now I can define language. Now at this moment I can define, instead of saying language is a means of communication, I can say language is a patterned system of arbitrary sound signals characterized by structural dependence, creativity, displacement, duality, and cultural transmission. وهاي الثمانية كلمة خليتها هنا. Patterning والarbitrariness والsound signals هاي ثلاثة. والstructural dependence 4. Creativity high 5, displacement 6, duality 7, and cultural transmission or the need for learning 8. Human language is innately guided. This means that if you go to France and you will be exposed to the French language, then you will be able to speak that language. Human infants are not born speaking, but they know how to acquire any language to which they are exposed. If you're exposed to Spanish, then you know how to speak Spanish. If you're exposed to any language, you'll know how to speak that language. Why do we speak? We speak to communicate. We speak to give a lecture. We speak to say thank you. We speak to say sorry. We speak to say I love you. We speak to say I hate you. We speak to ask for help. We speak to apologize. We speak to persuade. We speak to influence others. We speak to make friends. We speak for so many reasons. And you already know that. ما اعتقد انه من اقول لك انا why do you speak انت يعني تصفن ما تعرف الإجابة. ذاك انت ليش تحكي بالعربي؟ شنو اسباب كلامك اصلا؟ راح تعرف انه انت شنو دور اللغة واهميتها. That's it. That's all. Just think of it scientifically. Try to understand the content, not just memorize. Don't just depend on memory. Yes, okay, in the exam you need to memorize definitions and so, but it's a very interesting and scientific subject that you can understand and you can always remember all the time. It will be durable. We say durable, that you can retrieve and recall anytime you want. But if you memorize things, you'll forget these things later on in the future. Try to always understand, even especially the things that are scientific. That's everything related to the design features of human language. We've discussed all of them. We defined linguistics, we talked about the design features, we defined language, and we talked about the role of language. من عنده سؤال؟
كل شيء واضح. تمام. سؤال.